Good morning, good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome. This is one more experimental virtual service brought to you by Temple Beth Israel of Longboat Key. You see a picture of the sanctuary behind you. We're not actually in the sanctuary, but we're going to pretend that we are. And we are going to pretend that we are a real community, even though we are a virtual community. A virtual community can be a real community, as we found out last night with our virtual pre-Shabbat cocktail hour, where people communicated, talked, visited, saw people they haven't seen in a while, all through Zoom. Let us begin this morning with the singing of Hine Ma Tov Umanayim.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, who clothe the naked, and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest. We continue with the singing of Matovu.
Matovu, Matovu, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Va'ani berochastecha, Avovetecha, Eshtachavilecha kodshecha, V'yiratecha, Adonai ahavti, me'on beitecha, u'mekam mishkan kevodecha, mishkan kevodecha, Matovu, Matovu, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkatecha Yisrael, Va'ani eshtachave, V'ekra, Evrecha lifnei Adonai, Osi, Va'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, Elohim berov chastecha, Aneni be'emet yishecha, Matovu, Matovu, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Israel.
Let me take a few moments to talk about something in this week's Torah reading. I spoke a little bit about it last night and a few weeks ago. It doesn't hurt to mention it again. As we all know, throughout the year, we begin at the beginning of the book of Genesis and end with the end of the book of Deuteronomy. And historically speaking, read all the way through, but with major interruptions. The interruptions are special readings if a festival occurs on Shabbat, and there's a special reading for that festival. Sometimes there's a reading you'd like to read because it's very relevant to the time, but it's not the right reading. Well, we're at the right time for the right reading right now. I am going to read, and I'll do it in English translation, from the beginning of the 13th chapter of the book of Leviticus. And since we are not doing a formal scriptural reading, meaning from a Torah scroll with all the pageantry involved and so forth, and we are not calling people up for aliyahs, we would say a different blessing. And here is how I will tell you how it goes in a moment. But first, I have to say a word or two about the translation or mistranslation of one word. Throughout the ages, when people have translated this section, they think it refers to a skin ailment known as leprosy. Medically speaking, we know better today. It's not leprosy, but that is irrelevant to the point we are talking about. We know it is a skin ailment of one kind or another, and we're going to leave it at that. The New Jewish Publication Society translation decided to leave the word leprosy in with a footnote basically saying what I just said. Now, I'm going to say in Hebrew and then in English, the blessing you would say when you read meaning study, a section from the Torah, not a formal Torah reading from the Sefer Torah, the scroll itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctifies us with commandments and commands us to busy ourselves, to occupy ourselves with the words of Torah. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when a person has on the skin of his body a swelling, a rash, or a discoloration, and it develops into a scaly affection on the skin of his body, it shall be reported to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons the priests. The priest shall examine the affection on the skin of the body. If hair is in the affected patch, has turned white, and the affection appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a leprous affection. And here the footnote says the Hebrew tzara'at is used for a variety of diseases and so on. When the priest sees it, he shall pronounce him unclean. But if it is a white discoloration on the skin of the body, which does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest shall isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine him, and if the affection has remained unchanged in color, and the disease has not spread on the skin, the priest shall isolate him for another 7 days. I won't go on. I'm not going to get into the details of the ailment. If we had anything like that, I hope we'd go to a dermatologist. Those days, the Kohanim, the priests, were also dermatologists. The point that is being made and is so relevant today to isolate, and if the isolation didn't work, another period of isolation. Now, the connection I'm about to make is something I just thought about the other day, building on something I thought about a week or so ago. If others have thought about this too, and there's no reason why they shouldn't, if I can think about it, there's no reason why other people haven't, good. Why 7 days? 7 days could just mean a nice period of time, and it could be dismissed as that. But on the other hand, it could be that you needed 7 days for it to work. I'm thinking in modern terms. Example that we face. We're given a prescription for an antibiotic, and we're supposed to take it all the way through. I shared this with you the other day. If you get better after a couple of days and you're supposed to take it for 10 days, it says clearly on the label, you have to finish it. And sometimes if you don't finish those 10 days, it really doesn't work effectively. I'm reading this in modern terms. Now, I'm not saying that the Kohanim, the priests of ancient times, or the Torah understood medicine the way we do today. I'm just trying to say that for some things, there are specific periods of isolation. And even if there is a glimmer that things are getting better, or maybe you feel better, or you say, hey, it's gone away, I don't need to finish with these ridiculous pills, you have to anyway. What point am I trying to make? I hope it's obvious. We need to isolate, and sometimes we need to isolate a little bit more. It also reminds me of this. Oftentimes, those of us who have children who have gone to school and they get ill, they have a fever, they're told to stay home. One rule, guidance, whatever word you want to use is, stay home for an extra day after the fever has gone. We need to do that to protect ourselves, but we also have a responsibility to the larger society and not to spread any of this. And I am just very, very happy to be able to make this connection with the Torah reading this week. A few weeks ago, I mentioned it. I said we're going to be reading it again in a few weeks. We had Pesach in between. Now we're reading it again, and it doesn't hurt to reaffirm this. Now, let me say something else about this week and this Shabbat. It's not on our Jewish calendars yet. The Jewish calendar has been pretty stable for a long period of time, but in the 20th century, there were some events that forced us to change our calendar of commemoration. Last week, Yom HaShoah, where we mourn the death of millions of our people in Europe in the last century. This coming week, the day of memorial for those soldiers of Israel who died in many of Israel's wars and Israel Independence Day. Those days are structured in such a way that there's always a Shabbat in between. Maybe we should give that Shabbat a special name. Maybe this Shabbat in future generations, and it takes time for liturgy to develop, maybe this Shabbat will be a special Shabbat, the Shabbat between disaster and hope. I want to announce that for my class this coming Tuesday, 11 o'clock, we'll post it. You're all welcome. I hope to talk a little bit about the significance religiously, theologically, even politically, of the state of Israel. Now, not forgetting for a moment that this is Shabbat, I want to say one more thing. I am very, very pleased to be at a congregation that has a regular Shabbat morning service. A lot of congregations only have a Shabbat morning service if there's a bar bat mitzvah, and if you have one or two every week, you don't realize that there wouldn't be a service otherwise. I firmly believe in the necessity to have services on a regular basis, and not, for example, to take a vacation from services over the summer. And we talked about that with the board the other day. We are going to keep that continuity going, because if the continuity breaks, that's the end in too many cases. I am pleased, therefore, to be able to do these sessions with you, virtually to be sure, and we're going to expand on what we're doing, and maybe get some professional help to make this sound and look a little bit better, though I'm really happy the way it is anyway. I'm happy to be able to do this on Shabbat morning too. Shabbat is not just Friday night. So turning to Shabbat, let us sing some Shabbat music, and perhaps on page 136, for those of you who have your books in front of you, and if you don't, that doesn't matter, Kachenu.
I'm looking at the page.
And if I got the wrong page,
134, thank you.
and that just proves that we're all human beings, And we also want to give the clear impression that we are amateurs at doing all of this, and people make mistakes and people make typos, and I firmly accept the responsibility for my mistakes. And I have just been given a piece of paper here. Yes, Bishamru on page
132. What would you like?
Okay, we're going to do Vishamru first on 132, and then Kachenu on 136. No, you 134, sorry. Okay, 132 and 134. That's okay.
We've got it.
Go ahead.
Oh, good? Okay. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam v'rit olam. Ben Yuven b'nei Yisrael od hi le'olam, od hi le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam v'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam v'rit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam v'rit olam.
Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. And your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Praised are you, Eternal One, who sanctifies Shabbat. Now we continue with the singing of Kachenu, page 134.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu ritzei v'emunachatenu Kachenu b'mitzvotecha v'ten chelkenu b'toratecha Sab'inu mituvecha v'samkenu b'shuatecha v'tahel lebeinu le'avdecha be'emet v'hankilenu Adonai Eloheinu be'avov ratzon Shabbat kodshecha ve'anuchu v'Yisrael mikadshei shamecha Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
We're now going to continue with a responsive reading. I'm going to tell you what to say at the end of each section. If you have a book in front of you, it's page 139. And what you need to say each time is Modim Anachnu Lach, we thank you. I will say it also, but I will signal with my hand when you are supposed to speak, even though you think I can't hear you. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, modim anachnu lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fair world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Praise to you, Eternal One, whose name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shemcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. We pray for peace. Grant peace, goodness, blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together, through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, eternal our God, you gave us a Torah of life, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people, Israel, at all times, at every hour with your peace. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses your people, Israel, with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We continue with the singing of Sim Shalom on page 140.
Sim shalom tova uvracha, ken v'chesed berachamim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, ken v'chesed berachamim, Aleinu, Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, ken v'chesed verachamim, aleinu, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, al kol Yisrael amecha.
And now let us take a few moments for private silent prayer.
Ose shalom bimromav, Huya ase shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru. Amen.
We pause also to pray for members of our congregation, our friends, members of our extended families who aren't doing well at this time. Let me mention in particular Ruth Begursky, Alana Gordon, George Bardos, Martin Ross, Peter Roth, Merrill Goldman, Andrew Lerman, Eileen Egan, Marvin Black, Maggie Brenner, Joshua Haran, Ruth Engman, Dorothy Jacobson, B. Einstein, Ralph Einstein, Katie Pastor, Trudy Caruso, Zachary Pastor, Douglas Baker, Sherry and Daniel Bear. And let us pause for a moment and say we can speak out loud names of other people that I did not mention who need an extra prayer at this time. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us all say amen as we sing the Mishaberach for those who are ill together.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Havracha Lahimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor Habracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we also offer a prayer of thanksgiving on behalf of those who are feeling better, or on behalf of those whose worst days of their illnesses have passed. Praise to you, eternal our God, sovereign of the universe, who has bestowed every goodness upon us. May the one who has bestowed goodness upon us continue to bestow every goodness upon us forever. Before I mention the names of those who have passed away recently and those whose yahrzeits occur at this time, let me comment that historically we have emphasized the anniversary of death more than the anniversary of birth, for the simple reason that you needed to know the anniversary of death so you would know when to say Kaddish. We want to balance off death with birth. And therefore, today I mention, according to our list, Norman Gross is celebrating a birthday today. We wish him a very happy birthday and many, many more in the future. If you'd like, give him a call later on and wish him well. We will also, we have in our bulletins in the past, published list of birthdays, and maybe we should use those and read them out loud to counterbalance all the sad news that we have. We are in the process of developing customs and practices. I am always open to hearing feedback from you. We are doing things that we never could have imagined before. Before we do the Kaddish and conclude the service, I want to say one more thing. This is not a fundraising speech, you'll get that later, but we are seriously planning to have more sophisticated equipment to record and present our services to all of the congregation, as long as we are unable to be in our building, and even when we're back in the building, for those of our members who aren't well enough to come to the service. For that, we need far more sophisticated equipment than just the amateurish equipment that we are using right now. I want to thank Kai very much for helping out this morning. I also want to thank Corin for coordinating all the technical aspects. If we were a little bit more sophisticated, we'd have in front of us those who are leading the service, little television screens, I guess you'd call them, with cues for everything that would self-correct so there wouldn't be any mistakes. I have seen congregations, by the way, where on the rabbi's pulpit, and it's a pretty big pulpit, there's all kinds of electrical equipment and little things you can press to tell the choir when to sing, etc. We don't have that. Or maybe I should say we don't have it yet, but we're working on improving what we can present to you. With your support, we will continue offering more and more. Before we leave, let us pause and remember those members of our families, of our congregational family who are no longer with us. With sadness, we mention the recently departed Morton Skirball, Earl Gordon, Claudine Siegel, Everett Barrett, Teresa Blumberg, Marlena Frank, Stanley Greisman, Jerry Rosenberg. We remember also those whose yard sites occur at this time: Yetta Berger, Benjamin Barron, Kathy Brooks, James Cantor, Hyman Feldman, Benjamin Goodrick, H. Kermit Green, Herman Halpern, Sylvia Leaf, Craig Levine, Eugene Levine, Sarah Levy, Harry Mackman, Ethel Pastor, Max Ringler. And again, we pause for a moment and say out loud the names of people that you would like to remember at this time. May their memories stay alive in our thoughts, in our hopes, in our dreams, and our deeds as we continue with the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, v'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'gala u'bizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach la'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnasei, v'yitadar, v'yitalei, v'yitalal, shmei dekutsha brechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace grant peace unto those who mourn, and comfort the bereaved among us, and let us all say, Amen. Let us conclude this morning with the singing of Adon Olam on page 321.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et na'asa v'kebtza kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kiklot hakol levaro yimlok nora vehu haya vehu hove Behu yeh b'tifara, behu echad be'en sheni, liham shilo lehakbira, beli reshit, beli taklit, balo ha'oz, be'hamizra, behu eli v'chagoli, b'tzur hivli be'et sarah, Behu nisi umanos li, menat kosi, beyom echra, beyado of kidruki, be'eti shan be'aira, be'imruhi geviyati, Adonali, velo iro.
May we all be blessed with a Shabbat of peace and quiet, and most importantly, good health. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless us by protecting us. May God's light shine upon us, and may God be gracious to us. May we feel God's presence within us always, and may we find peace. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom.